frantic week that we've just experienced, but story cropped up today.
2012, the Republican Party lost the female vote by 12.
Vows are made more quickly than cocktails are poured and forgotten just as quickly in Las Vegas, the city of neon secrets. However, a story that has been simmering subtly for decades is hidden somewhere in those glistening streets. Meghan Markle would stop at nothing to dispel this myth. Because there was Joe Guiliano long before the royal titles, the Netflix partnerships, and the opulent Montecito house. His name has been rumored in the back of Hollywood gossip circles for years, but it hasn't been officially verified until now. The truth of that first connection may also be the most explosive chapter in Meghan's meticulously manicured existence, according to fresh sources close to the Guiliano family. You see, Joe Guiliano wasn't a Hollywood co-star with ambition or a fleeting romance. According to all reports, he was the one who initially wed Meghan Markle. It was just a modest chapel, a few signatures, and a commitment that didn't last a year. Not a royal wedding complete with diamonds and tiaras, photographers, balcony waving, or luxury gowns. But it wasn't just distance or professional aspirations that put an end to that brief union. It was much more profound. Joe's family witnessed something long before the rest of the world did. One person close to Joe's mother claims that they initially loved her. She was affable, courteous, and articulate, but it always seemed like a show, as if she were trying out for a more important role. Perhaps she was because Meghan wasn't satisfied with quiet anonymity or small-town love even in those days. A young woman who lived her life as if it were a script is described by friends from that era. Constantly considering the next scene, the next part, the next chance. She could gain their trust in a matter of seconds, but maintaining that trust was a completely different matter.
Feeling is that if preposterous Prince Andrew
Value on loyalty. Fame was secondary to family, and reputation was revered. Joe, who was characterized as modest and compassionate, had been raised with similar ideals. They weren't sure how to react to Meghan when she came into their lives, dazzling and ambitious. They were enchanted at first. People wanted to be around Meghan because of her unique charm and magnetism. Little things, however, soon started to agitate them. Meghan was invited to a Guiliano family dinner, according to one old friend. Despite her sweetness, it was clear that she was cunning. Each response was too flawless. She seemed to be watching herself from the outside, modifying her performance in real time, as each laugh sounded practiced. That rehearsed description would recur repeatedly. As one friend put it, Joe's father even said, "She's got Hollywood in her eyes, and that never mixes well with marriage." And by all accounts, Meghan was planning an escape, while Joe was planning a life, a house, and possibly a family, so he wasn't entirely mistaken. In private moments, she reportedly told friends she wanted something more, something bigger. It wasn't just a better job, either. It was a whole new identity. Meghan was already dabbling in acting and modeling at that point. Her sights were set on Los Angeles. And Joe, well, Joe represented a chapter she didn't want to carry into her future. It's said that when the marriage started to unravel, Meghan didn't just walk away. She erased everything. Photos, letters, any trace of the life they shared. She cautioned Joe not to speak. One insider claimed she told him, "If you ever talk, I'll make sure you regret it." Those close to Joe say he respected her wish partly out of fear, partly out of heartbreak. He never spoke publicly, never sold his story until recently. Now, decades later, Joe Guiliano's side of the story is finally surfacing. And his version of events doesn't just expose the marriage, it reveals why his entire family turned their backs on Meghan for good. According to a close family friend, the Guilianos saw through Meghan's act early on. They noticed how she spoke differently around different people, how she'd change her tone, or even her backstory depending on who was listening. One moment she was the humble girl from California. The next she was crafting the beginnings of a self-made narrative that would later define her public persona. But what truly broke the family's trust was an incident Joe's mother still refuses to talk about. A confrontation that happened just weeks before Meghan disappeared from their lives completely. It started apparently with money. Meghan had been talking about moving to Los Angeles to pursue acting. Joe's parents, cautious but supportive, offered advice, maybe even some help. But when they started asking questions about how she'd fund the move, where she planned to stay, or who she'd be meeting, Meghan snapped. She didn't like being questioned, said one relative. It wasn't rage, it was cold, calculating, like she decided that moment that they were an obstacle, not a family. Not long after that dinner, she was gone. No goodbye, no forwarding address. Joe tried calling, writing, even traveling to her old apartment. Nothing. It was as if she had vanished overnight.
I think going to be the problem bringing her back here, you know.
Then a few weeks later came the envelope, a legal notice that made it official. The marriage, however short, was over. And that was that. Or, at least it was meant to be. But here's the deal. Meghan Markle's story never remains buried. Decades later, once she rose to global renown as Duchess of Sussex, old acquaintances began to re-emerge, and some of them started asking questions about that missing year in her timeline. When reporters began tracking historic Las Vegas records, they found unusual gaps, sealed entries, missing documents, and a marriage log that had been misplaced. Coincidence? Perhaps, but it matched exactly what the Guilianos had been subtly claiming all along. Meghan had planned to completely erase her prior marriage. And now Joe Guiliano's voice is beginning to cut through the static after years of silence. Quietly damning, not obnoxious or outrageous. Joe allegedly stated, "She told me once, if I ever make it big, no one will ever know you existed," in a leaked private chat with a buddy. She meant it too. The buddy continued by saying that Joe's family felt deceived not just by the abrupt divorce, but also by Meghan's intentional efforts to ensure that their relationship was erased from the public record. The source clarified, they weren't upset because she went. They were upset with her for lying and acting as though that chapter had never occurred. Moving on is one thing. Erasing those who loved you as if you were their own is a different matter.
Took place at a beachfront resort 7 years ago.
Insiders claim that this is the reason the Guilianos cut off all communication with Meghan following her royal wedding. Not even a message of congratulations. They knew they were a part of the version of her story she wanted the world to forget because they had witnessed her rewrite her past once before. Additionally, the Guiliano family's silence only strengthened the myth when the royal PR machine started to shape Meghan's self-made story. Silence, however, is not permanent. Joe Guiliano's patience has now run its course, according to insiders. He's now ready to speak his mind after years of shielding her reputation and listening to Meghan's version of their story, one that completely excluded him from the sidelines. And based on the hints, that truth isn't good. Joe allegedly stated, "Her family didn't reject me," in the call that was released. "She was turned down by mine." Social media was rocked by that line alone since it completely changes the course of events. Why Meghan left Joe is not the question. Because of this, Joe's family didn't want to interact with her anymore. And based on what Joe is now prepared to disclose, the response may be more sinister and intimate than anyone anticipated. For the Guilianos, Meghan Markle was more than a passing fad. She was a storm that never ceased to perform a warning. Additionally, one family friend stated, "We didn't lose a daughter-in-law when she left. We managed to avoid a hurricane." However, Meghan's meticulously protected past is beginning to fall apart, one missing page at a time, as fresh receipts and testimonies come to light. And she might not be able to stop at this time. Meghan Markle apparently lost it when Joe Guiliano's interview was broadcast. She screamed when she first heard the clips, according to people close to the Sussex circle. Joe remarked, "My parents loved Meghan at first, but she wasn't the same girl when the camera started rolling. She desired more." Meghan's meticulously manicured image was cut like a knife through glass by one line alone. The soft focus rebrand, the empowered Duchess look, the wellness and wisdom vibe, and her entire PR empire all felt like a shattered stage set. In the eyes of the public, Joe had done something even worse, even though he hadn't disclosed anything illegal. He had given a human face to the Meghan she has struggled to bury. In Montecito, insiders say the mood turned volatile. Harry, who's grown used to dodging royal landmines, reportedly begged Meghan to stay off her phone, but Meghan, ever the strategist, went straight into control the narrative mode. She ordered her team to draft empathetic statements emphasizing how difficult her past relationships were before she found true love. But that didn't work because Joe hadn't painted himself as the bitter ex. He came across as heartbroken, reflective, even respectful.
He didn't attack.
He mourned. He said things like, "I truly wanted to marry her, but I think she wanted to marry the version of herself she felt she could become." It was tragic, poignant, and Shakespearean. Within 48 hours, the internet flared up with old images, hazy shots of Meghan and Joe from their undergraduate days, hand in hand at NYU events, her in a thrift shop coat, and him in a borrowed tux. The story virtually wrote itself. The man who knew Meghan before the crown. Then Meghan was pushed over the edge by the shocking headline. Joe Giuliano's family shares why they rejected Meghan Markle. A family insider, who reportedly spoke to the Daily Mail, claimed that Meghan's fixation on status had caused Joe's parents to become uneasy. Meghan's mother reportedly told friends that she measured success by who noticed her and that she talked more about Hollywood than home.
Has the world buzzing.
This morning, an explosive new biography by renowned Diana biographer Andrew Morton, giving readers an intimate view into Meghan Markle's life.
That wasn't just gossip to Meghan. It was humiliation because it validated the one storyline she's always fought against. That her desire wasn't noble. It was ravenous. That revelation apparently caused a meltdown inside her Montecito mansion. Meghan was reportedly pacing the floor, accusing royal operatives of being responsible for the leak and screaming that the media had fabricated Joe's story. She reportedly yelled, "They're trying to make me look like I was always like this," according to one source. But it couldn't have come at a worse time. Meghan had recently been working to bring American Riviera Orchard, her lifestyle brand, back to life. Additionally, all of the major stores that were supposed to carry her jam jars and flower t-shirts were now running articles titled Meghan Before Harry. Who was she? Prior to its launch, the rebrand was dead. Meanwhile, Harry felt conflicted. Although he supported her in public, sources claim that in private, he was worn out. One former palace aide whispered, he thought they'd left the tabloids behind. However, Meghan's past now resurfaces every time she attempts to move on. Worse, Meghan allegedly tried to spin Joe's comments, reaching out to a few friendly journalists to suggest the interview had been taken out of context, but Joe refused to play along. He went quiet, declining interviews, letting his words stand. That silence only amplified the damage. And then came Meghan's next mistake, a televised PR sit-down meant to reclaim her story. It was supposed to be emotional, raw, redemptive. Instead, it came off defensive. When questioned about Joe, Meghan once grinned tightly and remarked, "People change. Some people can't handle that." The flicker in her eyes, the same one from the Oprah interview years ago, and the conflict between anger and vulnerability were visible to viewers. It didn't read as empowerment. It said control. All of a sudden, Meghan was no longer the victim. She was the villain of her own movie. Online, clips of her reaction trended next to Joe's calm, nostalgic tone. Comment sections overflowed with pity, not for Meghan, but for Joe. For fame, she left the man who loved her. One person commented, "Classic Hollywood story." Hollywood insiders started whispering as well. According to Variety, one producer said, "This Joe thing hit harder than any royal scandal. Not in the way she desired. It made her human." Her team entered full crisis mode by the third week. Social media in Archwell went silent. Press conferences were subtly canceled. Schedule conflicts suddenly arose for even her few surviving celebrity friends, who used to publicly swoon over her. It was the one thing Meghan never expected: isolation. In desperation, she tried reaching out to Joe privately, hoping to clear the air, but according to reports, he didn't respond. That silence again spoke volumes, and it drove her over the edge.
an interest in the royal family.
The chances of beating the Queen are pretty slim.
Oh, the irony. That's a 15-year-old Meghan Markle on a bus tour in London.
Who was a friend, had this video of the two of them as like a Snapchat.
Insiders claimed that Meghan started blaming everyone, her PR handlers, Harry, even close friends, for letting this happen. But behind that anger was fear. Because Joe's story wasn't just an ex-boyfriend confession. It was a mirror. It showed the world the Meghan before the royal titles. The Meghan who'd always been chasing the next stage. As one commentator on GB News put it, Joe Guiliano didn't destroy Meghan Markle. He revealed her blueprint. It was a line that went viral. And Meghan, who had previously mastered the story, was now caught up in it. According to reports, Harry pleaded with her to keep quiet and to stop stoking the flames. But Meghan's pride wouldn't let her retreat. She told her team, "They want me to disappear. I'll make them choke on my silence." Yet the silence never came. Every time she spoke, every statement she made only reignited the storm. And just like that, Joe Guiliano's quiet, wistful story had turned into Meghan Markle's loudest scandal since Meet. By the time the dust settled, Montecito felt more like a fortress than a home. Security increased, staff turnover spiked, and the tension between Harry and Meghan grew thick enough to cut with a knife. One insider summed it up perfectly. Joe Guiliano didn't only open old wounds. He reminded Meghan of who she used to be, and that's the one person she can't stand to face. And somewhere back in New York, Joe reportedly told a friend, "I just wanted to tell the truth. I didn't think it had hurt her this much, but it did. It broke her image, fractured her plans, and left her exactly where she didn't want to be. The woman everyone was suddenly talking about not to." And for Meghan Markle, that quiet is the cruelest punishment of all.